Joining us, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina is a key member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, I know you're extremely worried. You've said expect more attacks. U.S. intelligence, you believe, at least in part, is eroding. Do you believe there are sleeper cells in the United States plotting against America right now?
I would assume that there are, but if we knew where they're at, we would go do something about it. A sleeper cell is a group of people who've had training that have migrated here looking for some orders to attack. A lone wolf is a self-radicalized person that's kind of always there to be worried about. But MI5 said it better than I could. The chief of MI5 said that major casualty events can be expected throughout the Western world, including the United States, and I take him at his word.
So when you call a sleeper cell is what happened in Paris and even the 19 hijackers on 9/11.
Absolutely.
9/11 was a sleeper cell as well.
Absolutely, and obviously we didn't know about those guys. But this Fortress France, Fortress America is not going to work. It is part of a strategy, but we have to go after them. We're on defense. We need to take the fight to these guys. President Obama's strategy to eradicate and destroy ISIL is never going to work without a ground component. And I don't see this happening during the next 2 years unless you get a ground component to complement the air component. And if the French government is really serious about being at war with the terrorists, well, let's form an international coalition. Let's go help the Iraqis in Iraq, and let's help the free Syrian army, what's left of them in Syria, and take it to these guys on the ground.
Yeah, I don't sense that's going to happen, do you?
Well, then we're really not at war with them. No, I don't either. I think it's all talk. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, but you're never going to protect America, France, or any other nation as long as you have this kind of passive policy. You got to take the fight to these guys. You got to dig them out in Syria. You got to dig them out in Iraq, and you got to hold the ground once you take it.
And you don't believe airstrikes, drone strikes, F-16 airstrikes, that could get the job done?
Not in the least. The Iraqi army is trying to be reconstituted. You got good fighters in the Kurds, but to take Mosul back is 10 times larger than Fallujah, which was in Anbar province. When we liberated Fallujah from al-Qaeda in Iraq back in 2007, 8, and 9, in that time period, we had 8,000 Marines in the army helping the Anbar Sunni tribal leaders. There is no way on God's green earth you're going to take Mosul back with the Iraqi army and the Kurds without some international help. And when you look over the border to Syria, there is no ground component. If you train the Free Syrian Army and you send them into Syria without dealing with Assad's air power, they're going to get slaughtered. So the president has no vision, no strategy. He is trying to run out the clock and pass this problem on to the next person, and that's very bad news for us.
CNN has been reporting, Senator, that a man identified as al-Qaeda's chief recruiter in Europe, a man by the name of Jamal Begal, he's directly connected to at least 2 of the Paris terrorists. Here's the question. If that is true, does that suggest al-Qaeda is stronger right now than a lot of people thought it would be?
Oh, absolutely. This narrative that bin Laden's dead, al-Qaeda is decimated is is a false narrative. Look, there are more terrorist organizations that exist today with more safe havens, with more capabilities, with more weapons, with more people, with more money to attack the American homeland than before 9/11. Pulling out of Iraq against sound military advice, not providing air cover to the Free Syrian Army and help train them 3 or 4 years ago when it would matter, and leaving Libya in shambles after Gaddafi failed has allowed these groups to be stronger than ever. They are much stronger than ever. The operative word when it comes to terrorism is more. There are more of them with more capability.
The other news today, and it's so shocking, that the U.S. military's elite Central Command, and you've been in the military for a long time, you've served in the Air Force, the Central Command, which is responsible for all of the Middle East, South Asia, North Africa, if you will, they deal with Iraq and Syria and Yemen and al-Qaeda. That's their responsibility. Their Twitter account was hacked. Their YouTube account was hacked. Sensitive information about senior military officers and their families, that information was leaked. Maybe no classified information, but how awkward, how awful is this?
Well, let's say propaganda coup for them is more embarrassing than it is a national security threat, but it should be a wake-up call between this and Sony. America does not have a sound cybersecurity defense. Congress has failed. I beat on the president. I think he deserves a lot of criticism for letting terrorism rise and Al-Qaeda come back so strong. But the Congress is cutting the budget of the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Defense. We can't agree on a cybersecurity bill, so we share a lot of the blame by making America weaker against cyber threats, and we're reducing our intelligence capability to detect the next attack by allowing our budgets to be cut at a time when we need more capability, not less.
And you don't want the Department of Homeland Security budget to be held hostage to the president's executive order on immigration, right?
You got that right. I don't mind fighting the part of the budget that implements the executive order, but to my Republican colleagues, we're playing with fire here. We need a robust Homeland Security budget now, but between 2016 and 2020, we're going to cut the DOD budget to have the smallest Navy since 1915, the smallest Army since 1940. We're really gutting the NSA, the CIA, the FBI. All of the intelligence eyes and ears are beginning to be deaf and blind because of sequestration. My #1 mission in 2015 is to replace these cuts to our defense budget and intelligence community before it's too late.
Senator Graham, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.